Roll the intro.
Z-RedRebel!
Hey everybody, so Z-RedRebel, and I'm doing something a little different. I'm going to give you my thoughts on the movie I saw this Saturday, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Or as it should be called, DC's biggest cluster. Now, first of all, let me just list off what I liked about the movie. Acting was great, the casting was great, everybody amazed me. I thought Jesse Eisenberg wouldn't be a good actor in this movie, but he did a good actor, but he was just given a bad role, so I don't blame him for that. He didn't. I'll get more on that later. The action was great. Back to the actors. Ben Affleck blew my mind. Everyone kept giving him so much crap, like, oh, he's going to be terrible. It's going to be like Daredevil all over again. That wasn't him, or at least I don't blame him for the terrible Daredevil movie. Another thing Affleck was really able to capture was just the essence of an angry, bitter Bruce Wayne and an even more angry Batman, and it was beautiful. For that, just Jeremy Irons was a fantastic Alfred. He played off beautifully the relationship between Batman and Alfred, the sarcasm, the witty comments. Now, the fighting was actually pretty good in this scene for the amount that there was. It was very good. It was very well done. The audio just went cut a little bad, forgive me. It was really well done, very well choreographed. Schneider's very good at capturing a fight or depicting a fight in a movie. That was never going to be a question or an issue in this film. And the gladiator fight, for what it was okay. It wasn't what I wanted, but it was decent enough for what he gave us. Just felt like there could have been more. Now, we go to the big reasons why this movie is not the greatest comic book movie of all time. A rule that Schneider, kind of an unspoken rule that Schneider broke in the movie. Now, in writing anything, whether it's a movie, a comic, or a game, you can do this because you can explore it more. But like, Schneider gave this far too much plot, and what I mean by that is there are like so many different plot points. You got Superman and the political fallout of his actions, him struggling with what to do with that, his relationship with Lois Lane, Batman's and his, I don't understand why Schneider decided to start with his origin for this movie at all. His hatred towards Superman and the fear that he's unstoppable and he's on the side of the people, like Superman needs to be stopped. If he goes rogue, we are basically screwed. Luthor, crazy obsession with Superman. And then there's like a bunch of setup points for future movies that just felt not okay. That just didn't fit right. And then there's Doomsday, but I'm going to save Doomsday to the very bitter end because I've got a long list to say about this. And so to the point, like, each plot that he builds upon is wasted. If anything, this movie felt like 4 different movies all jam-packed into one. And I almost think that, like, instead of leading the new DC cinematic universe with Batman v Superman to lead into Justice League and all the other movies, we needed another Superman solo movie. Then we possibly a prequel for Batman, like a solo Batman film that followed him and like the leading up, like prior to the events of Man of Steel, kind of not like his origin, but just showing like what makes him this bitter killing machine. Oh, and yeah, Batman kills. And then at the end of the Batman solo film, you then get the events during Man of Steel when Bruce goes to Metropolis and witnesses all this chaos and destruction. Then you get the gladiator match of Batman v Superman. And then after that, you get Dawn of Justice, which would lead into the Justice League movie. Oh, and yeah, Batman kills. I'm not too happy about that, but you know what? I'm okay with it because, like, at least he's not carrying a gun. People are like, Batman doesn't kill people. There have been a lot of depictions in which Batman has killed people. In the earliest versions of the comics in the 1930s, 1939, in Detective Comics issue 27, he did kill a man. He beat him into a vat of acid, and he didn't even bother trying to save him. And he says, good, it's a fitting end for his kind. Those are some pretty haunting words for Batman. But aside from Batman killing, we needed to know what drove him to that. What made him cross the moral line? And for comic book fans like myself, from the trailers that we were shown, like an image like right around here, we saw the Robin armor with a spray painted message from the Joker saying, haha, the joke's on you, or something like that. And that's implying that the Joker has killed Jason Todd, the second ward to take up the Robin mantle, who met his end at Joker's hand with a crowbar and some C4. And that wasn't it. He just showed us that and then didn't bother explaining why. And I feel like some people would have been upset. And granted, if he's going for a more realistic approach about Batman would do things, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm on board. But you need to explain to, like, he started off not killing people, now he's okay with taking lives. Explain that. Just explain that. I don't care that he's killing. I do like that he didn't make Batman packing a firearm. I was okay with that. People may criticize me for this, but I don't. It's my opinion. Speaking of which, do any of you remember this image from The Nightmare? The desert punk Batman? So, I won't give away too much, but the Flash does make an appearance, and the way he does it is just, it's so bad. I just don't understand how he could approve of that. And I know I'm probably getting off topic, but whatever. But it was, in the cameo appearances, people might complain about those, but they were handled, but they could have been, I will not lie, they could have been handled better, but for what Schneider gave us, whatever, it could have been a whole lot worse. And then another strong point is Lex Luthor. Luthor in this movie is not the Lex Luthor that I have come to know in the comics, the animated series, and the animated movies. Lex Luthor is a businessman who treats everything like business. And I understand Schneider's trying to create a more modern approach and a younger approach. That's why he casted that's why Jesse Eisenberg was casted, at least I hope that's why. But he made him psychotic. Like, I felt like I was watching, I didn't know who I was watching. It wasn't Lex Luthor, but it felt like a mixture between Luthor and the Joker. And that's not Lex Luthor. That is not who he is. Lex Luthor is a man of intellect, and he's very strategic of how he goes about things. And he's not a fanatic. He doesn't, like, Eisenberg started quoting a bunch of religious stuff in the film, and that's not Lex Luthor. Luthor's not a religious man. It felt like he saw Superman as a threat. He wasn't godlike. He was just a threat. Well, he probably saw him as a godlike creature, but Luthor himself wanted to become godlike to combat Superman. In this film, I didn't get that at all. I didn't get that Luthor was trying to, like, push that, like, he's a menace, we need to put a stop to him, it needs to be mankind in charge of our defense, not an alien. So I don't know what kind of Luthor they were going for at all, but I did not enjoy Jesse Eisenberg's character. But he played it pretty well, so I'll give him that. For what he was given, he played it off beautifully. So for that, good job, Jesse Eisenberg. You did great. And now we get to the cream. Let's just call it. It's the cherry on top of the shit. It's the biggest disgusting cherry you've ever seen, and its name is Doomsday. Now, for those of you who don't know, there are many different interpretations, I believe, of Doomsday. There's the television, the Smallville interpretation, the comics and the animated series, and the animated movie, Death of Superman interpretation. I kind of prefer the interpretation where Doomsday is an ancient creature from old Krypton, and it has the embodiment of anger, hatred, and destruction. And I don't remember how it got to Earth. I guess we don't really need to care, maybe. But the main thing about Doomsday was that he was an unstoppable killing machine. And in this movie, they kind of captured that, but it just didn't feel necessary. It felt so unnecessary. It's like they wasted a really good arc for a future movie. They just wasted it in a split second. Well, not a split second, because the damn fight lasts so long. And Doomsday's abilities, in depending on which version you look at, have always been different. But one thing has remained the same. He couldn't fly. He certainly didn't have some weird energy pulsing emission power. Like, you'll see. I don't know where the hell Schneider decided to come up with that, but he didn't even bother explaining it. Doomsday wasn't necessary in this film. They just threw him in there. And it just didn't fit. It doesn't fit for this movie. That is my biggest complaint about the movie, Doomsday. You don't need Doomsday. For a movie that's called Batman v Superman, there's not a whole lot of conflict between the two, other than the fact that they don't like each other for a good chunk of the movie. And then all of a sudden they just put their differences aside. Like, oh, I know I beat you up a little bit, but now we're good, right? And towards the end of the movie, Batman starts acting like he owed Superman so much when they literally just met and they only just became allies. And I'm just like sitting there like, your pacing is terrible. And I'm going to go back to Schneider. Schneider's I don't know, and I know the writers, and you got a writer from the Dark Knight trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy by Christopher Nolan, helping him with this, and even a guy from Man of Steel helping him with this, and it still didn't fit. And I'm surprised that I'm hoping somebody at least told him, Schneider, maybe we should cut out a bunch of this crap and just focus on the core story. But I also hope nobody did, and they were just too scared to say something, because that means Schneider himself doomed his own film. Because there was far too much in this movie for it to make any cohesive sense to a person who knows how a good film is supposed to be. And that's not to say the general audience doesn't know what a good film is. And like, everybody's allowed to enjoy everything differently. And I think the reason why general audiences like this a lot more is because they're seeing their heroes on the big screen, heroes that they've wanted to see for a long time. I'm not just talking about Batman or Superman going at it. I'm talking about Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was a main draw for this film, and I won't lie, I wasn't there to see Wonder Woman. I was there to see Batman and Superman fight it out and then work their issues out. Not Princess Diana coming in to save the day and help kill Doomsday. I didn't come to see that. I didn't go in the movie theater to see that. And it took so much out of it that I knew that Wonder Woman was in the movie, Aquaman was in the movie, Flash was in the movie, Cyborg was in the movie, and Doomsday. Schneider did not keep a tight enough lid on this movie. He was just like a giant fanboy just spewing off everything. And I'm going to assume he was some of the leaks of this film. The amount of leaks there are ridiculous. Like a ridiculous amount of leaks. Take Suicide Squad, for example. We only got to see Jared Leto and we saw Ben Affleck on the car, but that's not big. That's not as big as like revealing a huge spoiler about Doomsday's going to be in the film, Wonder Woman's going to be in the film. You take the wow out of it, which is upsetting. But with Schneider, he just couldn't keep his mouth shut. And if he says he's trying to capture the essence of a comic book, he didn't capture the essence of a comic book, in my opinion. He captured the essence of a very, very messy fan fiction. And it pains me to say that. It really does, because I wanted to love this movie. I really did. I went in and I wanted to find what I loved, and I did find what I liked about the movie. The fighting was awesome. Some of the characters were great. The actors were phenomenal. But it wasn't enough. This movie was also just far too long. If anything, it should have been cut down, because there's a lot that doesn't belong. Is this a movie worth seeing? As a comic book fan, I can tell you, you will enjoy the Easter eggs, no matter how unnatural they may feel. But is it as good as the audience says? Not in the least bit. Is it as terrible as the critics say? No. It's just got a lot of issues that really needed to be solved. Maybe the rated R extended version, director's cut, whatever, maybe that will change everything. And I hope to God it does, but I will see this movie again in the theater. Maybe I'll enjoy it after a second viewing, but it is not the greatest comic book movie that has ever come out. So again, this movie, not my favorite movie. In fact, I don't know where to place it on my ranking of like favorite superhero comic book movies. It's above it's, if anything, it's above X-Men 3 and above Daredevil, above Elektra, maybe Spider-Man 3, maybe. I haven't watched it in forever. I'll watch that and compare notes, but it's very hard to decide what is good about this film when there is so much wrong. But like I said, I did point out what is good about this film. The actors are phenomenal, and I look forward to seeing their continuations of the superheroes in their own movies. I just am nervous about Schneider and his future projects in Justice League. And I think people like saying this is a good film. That's great. You can understand something that I seem to be failing to understand, or are overlooking something that I really scrutinized. But like I said, this movie is not my favorite. It's not my top on the list. If anything, this is the shakiest start to a cinematic universe for DC. Probably the shakiest start they could have ever asked for. But I have hopes for the future. So would I recommend you go see it? Sure, go ahead. Have some fun, bring some friends. If you're not happy with it, don't blame me. Just, I guess, vent about it with your friends, talk about it. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope that you leave your comments down below if you agree or disagree with me, or if you felt I missed anything about this film, or if I was wrong, or if you think that I'm a heathen of a DC Universe fan, because I'm a giant Batman fan. I got a poster right there of Batman. I love Batman. But yeah, just let me know in the comments down below if you want to see me do more of this, because I'm not going to do many movie reviews, but I'll do them for comic movies if you guys want. Why am I going to do that? Because I enjoy comic books so much. It's going to be my livelihood. So until then, I'll see you guys next time, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.